Hello everyone, welcome back to Every Degree Matters. I'm your host Saffran. Today we're going to talk about a lot of exciting things. First of all, the Fed has finally cut the interest rate. That's a big, huge step. Three times the Fed has cut the interest rate in the past this year. We also saw that Australia will be the first country to ban social media as of December 10th, yesterday, for any people, kids under 16 years old. I think everyone should do that. And we also have devastating floods that are cut across Asia, especially the South Asia and East Asia, including Thailand, Indonesia, and Sri Lanka. We also have the World Meteorological Department is warning that there might be series of climate change activities happening in the Indian Ocean, and which could really impact a lot of countries that are closer to those to the ocean. We also have got a big a power shift. I would say that the U.S. Supreme Court might is going to take the case where J.D. Vance, also when he was a senator, to cut access to limit how people can use the what do you call funds in campaign coordination, and how it says here how parties can spend in coordination with their candidate. So how it will reshape a lot of things in the politics. And then again, as I told you, Fed has cut 0.25 percentage. We're going to talk about that and how it's going to impact. With that, let's get to the show.
And you wanna write it down? Would it kill you just to listen? And you wanna sell it out, but the words out of your position. Hold on, and you wanna see the break of dawn. Brush your hair back from your face. You won't see me when
Thank you everyone for joining. I'm your host Saffran Minhar. First topic, let's talk about the Fed interest rate cut, what it means. So this time, for the very first, I think in a very long time, the Fed has cut the interest rate sort of like three times in a year, which doesn't happen. So they cut early in February this year, and then they cut one time in what do you call, in September, and this today, I mean 10th of December, would be the third time they final cut. So which will also suggesting, I mean Fed also suggested that they will have forecasting to cut more interest rate in the year 2026, maybe in Jan or maybe end of the Q1. It all depends on how much the Q1 is going to go. So we also saw that the points came down to 3.5 and 3.75, which is really amazing. And it also, market swiftly reacted. I saw that, and the dollar was the dollar slipped, the treasury yield fell, and the stock index rose. So the stock went up as usual. And let's see where the Bitcoin is. I think Bitcoin was at, I think the Bitcoin went up for a moment and everything went down. So probably that's how the market reacts. There we go. Everything is up now. And I think Bitcoin is at the 90,000 level, but it did go to 94. So it tried to reach 100,000, but it didn't. So let's also talk about cryptocurrency. I think the bull market has not ended. I feel like we got till June of next year, I would say, and where the crypto is still, I can say there is a bull market going on. Watch for altcoins. Some altcoins could be dead. Bitcoin will really go up. I feel like it will hit around 150 to 160,000 end of this bull cycle. So I might be wrong, but this is not a financial advice. Take your own do your own due diligence. So that's my thought on it. Let's go to the topic on where the Supreme Court, two things have happened. This is crazy, guys. So first thing is that it's a good thing. Supreme Court will allow, more likely to allow President Trump to be able to fire people from the federal agency. I don't know if it is the right thing to do, but I feel like it might allow President Trump to fire independent agency officials like the Fed, the chairman, like people at the higher ranking office that people are in power. So, which is crazy. And I don't know if how the Supreme Court is going to react, but the case is going to go. They're going to take it forward. I think they might be hearing it the coming weeks, so which is going to be a good thing to look at it. And then the other case that I talked about, guys, the Supreme Court took the case is on the 9th of December, like this week, beginning of this week. They took the case that I put forward where the campaign finances are going to change, which is amazing. I don't know if you guys seen it. That Bernie Sanders has been saying that take campaign finance out of the campaign finances out of the campaign so that big corporates can't control these parties and fund them and lobbyists. There's a lot of money that a lot of lobbyists spend during the course of any election. So midterms are coming next year. It's going to be really, really a big change that's going to happen for the midterms. So the course is considering whether they could limit a legal, have a long-standing to have a limit on how much can they spend. Like for example, if you look at Los Angeles, they can only people can only donate a certain amount of money. So it's like one individual organization, that's a good thing because then you can raise it from a lot of people, and one person cannot control the candidate or the party, which is really important for a country like the United States. 250 years of democracy. I love it, every bit of it, but it also has some flaws. The flaws needs to be corrected, changed, and that's why we have 27 amendments in the Constitution. It's a living document. It's not a document that's not have to be it will be changed. That's the purpose of writing it, to be changed. That's why when they wrote it, the founding fathers of this country wrote it, they wanted to make sure it's an evolving document. It's not a document that sticks like and never changes. So which also resonate why the Supreme Court might likely to help to make this case heard, and if it goes through, it's going to be a big win to everyone. It doesn't matter whether you're from which party, whether you're a Democratic or a Republican or an Independent. You will, every citizen of this country will benefit off of this Supreme Court decision. Hopefully, fingers crossed, it could make on this. And the other topic that I do wanted to talk about is that there has been a lot of surge. There's a lot of jobs have been laid off. According to a new recent study, it says 1.17 million jobs have been, according to Economic Times. It says that jobs have been gone, mostly related to AI, where companies are making a lot of automation, where like Amazon or take about, especially in the retail sector. And I feel like I think there will be a shift of change in jobs. I think there will be more job opportunity created, and people might have to learn a lot of new things, or maybe they have to adapt. They need to change a lot of things. They need to sort of like get into new nuances, like how for example, a new area of jobs could be created, which people might be needed for that. There might not be physical jobs. That's the thing I'm really scared, because we might all get lazy, just sitting in front of a computer and doing things. And the other thing that I want to say, which was really fun, that they're finally going to open gym in airports. I was like, yeah, let's do it, because there's a lot of layovers people can do. So the government, Sean Duffy, finally with RFK Jr., they announced it yesterday, saying that they're going to open up gym, and they are going to allow $1 billion. They're providing $1 billion in fund for anyone to do that and help them open it. I think that's going to be amazing. They should have like a 1-day pass, like maybe you open up like $10 or $20 to join or to go and use the gym. Probably could also like have maybe some kind of food. Maybe it can also like align with a lounge, a airport lounge, so they can also eat. It should be like, I don't know. I feel like it will be also a good thing. You can have a good workout, have a good food, take a shower, and then hit the plane. Like hit to your next journey. It's gonna be amazing, right? you guys think about that, which is a great thing. Kudos to Secretary Duffy. Thanks for that. I was waiting. And also, please, if you're listening to this, open up barber stores in the airport. That's the other thing I'm always telling. Help people, because people don't have time to cut their hair. They're going for a meeting in between them. So it would be really profitable too, like, to opening up government haircut barber stores in the airport, which will be a big change in a lot of things. We're also going to talk about the new CNBC poll came in. Trump is going down. It's so sad. He's down by 62 points minus, which is between young people between the age of 18 and 29, which is alarming. So the entire question comes along is that to see whether what's the problem. Is it most of the young people today are telling that affordability is the problem, like everything is going up. This is what I wanted to say. During the last 40-50 years, people always complain like why young people are talking about a lot of things, they're gravitating towards socialism or gravitating towards more populist ideas. You guys have to understand that when the cost of living went up, the minimum wage didn't go up. So if the minimum wage went up with the cost of living, I've been always saying this, then we won't have all this problem. The reason why we're having all this problem is that because the minimum wage haven't grown up, but the inflation has gone up, and the cost of living has gone up. So how can you expect somebody to be able to have a family? That's why a lot of people don't want to have kids. And how can you accept someone to have a family and then also buy a house? It's really hard. And don't expect young people to really be able to succeed the American dream. It's really hard. Of course, there are exceptional people who really work hard and they also get lucky. And always one thing that Mark Cuban I really like about what he says, every people who become successful, there's one thing that's common. The common denominator is they all get lucky. But people who are really working hard, they also get subsidy. They also be taken care of. Look at countries like Sweden, Denmark. People are talking about why people are not. The other topic I'm going to talk about is that why people are not moving in from Sweden or all those countries. They don't want to leave those countries to America. They love this country. The country takes care of them from they are born till they die, which is amazing, right? So, Denmark, I've been to those countries, beautiful places. People are really happy of what they're doing and the government is helping them. So with that, the topic that I want to discuss is that tight immigration law may shrink future workforce and slow the GDP growth. This is something Elon has always talked about, that there's been a GDP growth and there's been a decline of GDP growth because the talent that we bring into this country through all these immigration programs are really amazing. And that's why we have a lot of things being built, a lot of tech and entrepreneurs come here, or workers, but it also has been misused, like the H1B process. Tech companies take advantage of that. I think we need to have a big immigration reforms. I think that's something the president has to focus, but the midterms are coming. This is the other thing I don't like. The sad part is there's a high likely that the Democratic Party will gain the midterm, and then nothing what President Trump is going to do. It's going to be all halted, and the new president is going to come. It's just going to be the cycle forever, and which is really really crazy. With that, what do you call the immigration? President Trump is also saying that they have halted immigration application from 19 non-European countries. That includes asylum, that includes citizenship, that includes green card. Everything is paused from 19 countries, and they're going to vet people again. It's going to be a whole process. I don't know where it's going to end. And then it's also going to say, which is really happened because of the National Guard shooting. Unfortunately, it was a terror attack in this country. One soul left us, and it's so heartbroken. It was during the week of Thanksgiving, I think the day of Thanksgiving, which it really happened, which is really sad, guys, to look at all these things. And oh man, it's just so terrible to see why is it happening, why people are doing it. I mean, American dream is this idea. That's what I believe. That's an idea. So when you move to this country, why love this country? This country has given everyone, like me myself, has given a lot of opportunity. of being here and love this country, learn the language. You don't need to be a fluent person when you come here, but you can learn. So 26 letters in the English alphabet. It's not a hard thing to learn. And where you can, that's the part of assimilating into the society means, like, be part of it. Don't come to the United States if you are going to hate this country. Come to this country. Yes, it's a capitalistic country. I love capitalism. Yes, it's a country for everyone to come in, be here, but also love this country, give back to this country. And a lot of immigrants doing great jobs. There are one or two people that are trying to, that one or two persons doing something like this makes a big story out of it, and that's where we all end up talking immigration at the hall, yada yada yada. And this also has fueled a public debate in the U.S. security and asylum, and there's also like a polarized discussion, like an intensified discussion. And I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, President Trump, kudos to him to what do you call closing down the border. The border was really important. There are still people coming, but they all are better. Not like everyone can come in. People are coming from a lot of countries. The fear for life. This country should be an accepting country, and it has been. It's just in the last 4 years, it was like an open gate. Like everyone can come and just roam around in this country, and that's a really bad thing. Because, and also you have to understand, the system cannot handle that influx of immigrants coming into this country all at once. A slow and a steady growth is awesome and perfect. All of a sudden, if everything happens at once, it's going to be really hard. That's the thing that I'm frustrated on why the government did that in the last administration. And which is the other topic that I wanted to lead into, is that what happened. So you all know that COP entered, the Conference of the Climate Change Parties, to the Paris Agreement, ended in last in November. So there was not a big outcome, and then people didn't like it, and the terminology of forcing fossil fuel phase out was dropped, and to use that word into the text was dropped all at once. And I mean, climate change is real, but it's not real as we all exaggerate it. And that's the biggest problem I have when I had opportunities to be in all these meetings and conferences. It was good until I saw they said it's going to end tomorrow. I was a victim for it. It was like it's going to end tomorrow, but it's not. It's not going to end like what they say. So people have to understand that it's not going to end like what they say tomorrow. But we do, of course, need to take care of this planet, but not in a way that they're saying the doomsday is closer. Just as stupid as ridiculous. And I think it's so unfortunate, but still, I think we will move. I feel like humanity will be forced to do this transition, and we will be okay and we'll be fine. So there's been a devastating floods are happening in part of Asia. Hundreds of people dead. Cyclones and monsoon rains have hit in the late last month. Especially countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and Vietnam got triggered. There was a cyclone name called Ditwala, whatever the name. Okay, I'm pronouncing it wrong. Yeah, the cyclone was there, swept across a lot of countries. Indonesia was really impacted, and the next country that was really impacted was Sri Lanka, where I come from. And it's so sad that I've been hearing stories that unfortunately a lot of people died because the stupid government didn't open up the dams on time, because they didn't know even though they receive from India and other countries that the forecast that there's going to be heavy rain, and open up the dams. If you open up the dam slowly, the problem is that when you open up the dam all at once, the water has to go to the ocean. For the water to go to the ocean, the ocean water has to go down. Then the water can go to the ocean. Because of that, all this water just flushed into the cities. 3 cities was completely wiped out in Sri Lanka. And the most sad part is that the government announced that one whole city was gone and people were dead, and with the help of with the help of UAE, Dubai country came in and they rescued 18 people alive. I'm like, what the fuck? Like, come on, guys! Like, it's just ridiculous how a country can say like, oh, people are dead, everybody's gone, and we're not going to do anything, and then there comes UAE government trying to help us, and they found 18 people alive. So the latest report says over 1,300 people have been dead across all the countries. In particularly in Sri Lanka, I think more than 500 to 600 people are dead, and more than 5 to 700, 800 people are missing. That's just so alarming and crazy. The recovery process is going on. They have set up a lot of fund. People are pouring in money to these countries to helping it. Thanks to the U.S. government, they sent two aircraft carriers to two big U.S. Air Force planes with funds and everything. They also got $1 million or $2 million of funds to be used by the U.S. ambassador to Sri Lanka. As I told you, the World Meteorological Department is warning that there might be a warns of a weak La Nina potential for extreme weather in the year from December to February. So this is not over yet, guys. There's still forecast of rain in Sri Lanka. A lot of still people are trying to recover, but the rain is really hard. It's a poor country. It's really hard. I mean, it's a developing country, and it's really hard. People when they get impacted and they try to what do you call get your livelihood back up again, and then it rains again, which is really sad. But kudos to all those people who have helped this country, particularly in Sri Lanka, to especially the locals, helping them to clean the places, funding them. The government has opened up a global funding mechanism to send money. I think they have already collected almost 2 billion Sri Lankan rupees for them, and I think it's going to go up to more. And with that, also that other thing that I wanted to touch upon is that the global health and environmental front crisis and climate change adaptation fund barely reaching local levels. So this is the other alarming thing, guys. You currently only 17% of climate change adaptation fund is reaching communities and local system, having many people vulnerable population without support for heat waves, water stress, or other climate related risks. This funding gap especially impacted poor. Stockholm Environmental Institute says that only 17%. Stockholm Environmental Institute is based in one of the oldest institute in the world. It's based in out of Stockholm. That's what it's called, Stockholm Environmental Institute. I've been there a couple of times, and they say that the money that they were allocated for adaptation for $50 billion have not gone through, and people have not received it. Maybe there was a lot of layer of filtration of money not going through for vulnerable people, especially in sub-Saharan countries like Mozambique, Zimbabwe, Mojave, or South Sudan, or Niger. All these countries are mostly impacted, and they haven't received the money. I don't know where the money went. The pledges didn't go through, and also the other studies show there is also a lot of corruption in these countries, right? Foundations, I don't want to get into all these nitty gritties. It's just so sad, like how much money they all take. For example, if $10,000 of funding is given to these countries or for an A organization, it probably only like 3,000 gets into the actual people, which is so sad. If you look at it into this a big lens view on a global problem. So that's really sad. And I also wanted to say Pope Leo took his first overseas trip to Turkey and Lebanon, which is amazing. And people were like, oh, you shouldn't go to Lebanon. But he's like, fuck that, I'm going. And he just went. And he was also talking about, because there was a lot of ongoing conflict in Gaza, in Ukraine, Syria. So they also wanted to be careful where he goes to the third world country. But he said, no, I'm going. He made a successful trip. And he also said that it is really important that we need to make sure that peace is upholded and achieved in Ukraine, especially with the Russians right now. President's envoy Steve Woodcock and the guy, Jared Kushner, who is in Moscow, who was in Moscow on December 2nd, beginning of last week. They were there. They tried to do things. I don't know. I mean, the Kremlin didn't reach an agreement with them, but they are more favorable on what the discussion was, and still the discussion is going on. And I hope Europe realizes this. Europe countries are really going to Europe is being impacted because of this long, prolonged war, and they need to make some compromise. If not, it's going to get really, really bad, and which will impact each country, especially on their local elections coming up in the future years, which is going to be really crazy. People are suffering. People want to get done with the war. I think we have to make the deal with Putin. You can't just fumble around and say, "Oh, we're gonna go for this war for we're gonna take this war forever." But you guys have to understand that this needs to end. You guys need to understand this needs to end. Ukraine is the 30% of global wheat production. Everything has come to a halt. This needs to change. Hope the Russians can get to the table. Hope President Trump is the only person who opened up the negotiation back again, can make this thing work. But he needs the support of Europeans. You can't just go alone and do it. That's a European country, right? So people need to really help the US government and the negotiators, and hopefully President Macron from France, they can all get involved. They are getting involved, and I hope they can push to bring this peace deal happen so that we can have less wars happening around the country. We also saw a big, a big crisis of problem in I think in Germany or in France. I don't know, one of those countries where people are also really frustrated about this war. So hopefully this comes to an end. It needs to come to an end. With that, this is one of the exciting topics I want to talk about, guys. I'm going to take a lot of time to this. Australia, the country in Asia, the Pacific, that's close to New Zealand. You guys all know one of the rivalries of cricket when I was growing up. They officially banned use of social media for kids under 16. They're going to fine the companies $32 million if they let the kids to join. Awesome, awesome. I think all the countries in the world should adopt this. This is a great idea. We don't want kids to be doom scrolling, wasting their time, getting manipulated by the algorithm. We want our kids to be strong, be fearful, and have this idea of can do attitude, whatever can do attitude, and also achieve a lot of things. And I'm proud that Australia has taken the first step in terms of stopping young kids getting doom scrolled and algorithmically changing the subconscious memory power. Thank you for the people in Australia. Thank you for everyone for setting an example. I think all those countries in the world should ban social media for anyone who's using under 16. Social media is bad. I'm a good fan of it, but until 18, I would say 18, but 16 is fine. That's the best age. Kids develop. People don't understand. If you understand psychology, you will know. It's really important. That span of time is where a kid's brain grows. Everyone's brain grows. That's where they define who they're going to become. Basic things, and that eventually changes up. Doom scrolling is not going to happen. And the government has officially banned any person using any companies allowing them to use will be fine. That's a great thing rather than fining people. And it also says because they wanted to aim to protect kids' safety and mental health. That's the one thing. Reason why kids don't want to have children. Today I read that for the first time in 30 years or so, Japan has declined in population, or declining in population. They only had 600,000 odd births this year. This is so bad, guys. People don't want to have kids. People are scared of doing this. People are not like when we grew up, it's like something happens to you, or like you get up and walk. You don't just cry or vent about it. Like you just go, you be you. That's how anyone is going to be, a man or woman. You don't, I don't care. They don't, it's not a problem. You just, something got hurt, you get, now it's just people have become the weak generation, I would say, the TikTok generation, which I call these people. And I think great step. And I think all these countries should carefully join this country, like join Australia and follow their footstep and ban all these kids using from 16. I think that's a great thing. And with that, thank you so much, guys, for joining us. Thank you for joining. We had some fumble in the last 2 weeks of not being able to do the podcast. I apologize for this. I hope I can bring the content that you guys always wanted to be listened. Let us know what I wanted to change. We are all excited to bring in new guests and new way of a couple of changes is going to happen to this podcast in the coming months, probably leading into the next year. With that, I hope you guys had a great Thanksgiving. Since I wasn't almost 11 days after Thanksgiving, hope you were able to buy a lot of things in Black Friday and Cyber Monday. Hope you guys spent all your money for buying stuff. But with that, thank you so much for listening. I know it's very few people, but I hope to grow the audience. And with that, thanks for joining. Every Degree Matters. I'm your host, Saffran Minhar. I will see you next time.